Hey internets, I'm sitting here with Lady Maximo. She's worked in fashion for quite a few years now, and she's currently the fashion stylist at djpremium.com and drjays.com. Fashion styling is, for a lot of people, like a dream job. So a lot of my fashion school students that are watching my YouTube channel are really going to enjoy this interview. How did you get to the point where you're a stylist? Like, tell us about your journey.
I was born and raised in the Philippines. I came here in 2009. I actually have a bachelor's in business, which I got in the Philippines, and then I lived in China for 2 years. I managed my dad's business. I've always known that I wanted to work in fashion, but in the Philippines at that time, there wasn't like a fashion styling, course that you could take. It's all like fashion design. And I knew that wasn't the kind of creativity that I had. Like, I can't take a plain fabric and make it into something amazing. But I always knew I had an eye for beauty. I worked for an ad agency in the Philippines after graduating for a year, and my boss would always say, like, you always add these, like, extra things that just make it, more amazing. So I lived in China, and I started thinking about, like, what is my passion? What do I want to do, And, over the past few years, fashion stylists have been, like, popping up. And so when I decided to move here, I was like, I'm going to go to FITM in LA, and I'm going to study visual communications, which is like a big umbrella that includes fashion styling. So I studied it for a year, and I probably was here in the States for maybe 2 months, and I already printed out business cards that said fashion stylist. So I would volunteer for runway shows just as a fashion dresser, which is behind the scenes, like putting clothes on the models. And then they go out into the runway, right?
Yeah, you're dressing naked models.
But I would network my ass off in all these events, like just volunteering for free. So it's really interning for people. I apprenticed for a top fashion stylist. She styles for like Vogue Italia, V Magazine, stuff like that. I learned a lot from them. We styled David Beckham on a yacht. We styled different, supermodels. So I learned a lot. When I graduated from FITM, I worked as a visual stylist first for Banana Republic. I was based in the Grove store in LA, which is a really, really big store. And, you're in charge of, like, installing windows and styling mannequins, and then worked my ass off. They started having me do styling workshops for visual merchandisers, visual people in the LA district, and so I would, teach them how to style mannequins and stuff like that. Until I found, Dr. J's and DJ Premium were hiring for a full-time fashion stylist.
Some people might not know, but there's two different vibes with a DJ Premium and drjays.com. So let's talk about like your approach to work and what your day is like.
Well, Dr. J's is a little more like urban, street, DJ Premium is a little more high-end, like the brands that we represent for DJ Premium, but I pretty much approach it the same way. There's a little more styling that happens with DJ Premium because there's not as much volume that goes up on the site, so I have more time to style according to the brand's aesthetic. But in the same way, I always do research when there's a new brand that comes in. I go to their websites or I access like their lookbooks so that I know who is their client, like who's their market, so that I can like style the clothes accordingly to like who their brand is.
To who they're talking to. Right.
And basically like we do product photography here pretty much almost every day.
Right.
Especially for Dr. J's. DJ Premium is a little more sparse.
This episode is going to get tons of probably predominantly girls that want to style. Here's what they want to ask you. What are the best things about your job? And then follow up with like the worst things about your job.
The best things about my job is that I'm really passionate about it. So it's what I love to do. It's like it's not even work to me.
It doesn't feel like work.
Yeah, it's just so fun, And the best thing is seeing how what you add to a certain outfit, it just makes a whole lot of difference.
Right.
From, if you're just wearing a top and bottom, but you tuck it in a certain way, or you tie the shoes like this and you add a hat or accessories. It just creates a story, So styling is kind of like storytelling, which I love. You really get to express like your creative point of view. And I guess the worst thing would be if you're working on a project and there's a lot of other people that are voicing out their opinion, and it's not a bad thing, but sometimes they don't realize that the stylist already has like a story in his or her head of like what it's like a concept that you've already built. And when people try to like, oh, maybe let's not put that on, or maybe let's just do this, it kind of like messes it up a little bit.
Right, when you've already lined up
because
outfits
as a
per
stylist,
se.
you're an artist, so it's a whole package. When someone else takes something away, it kind of like jars your concept a little bit, but it's all about teamwork too, so you work with everyone and it has to be like a good rapport with everyone. So I think that's it, but it's absolutely like a really great job. But people don't know that it's not all glamour, they always think like, oh, fashion stylist, super glamorous.
You don't always have an intern to do all of that.
Yeah, you don't always have an assistant, and even if you do, you work hand in hand with them.
Sure.
And, sometimes you're trekking up on a hill just to do shoots, and you get dirty, you get your hands dirty, but it's part of the job and it's fun.
Right. I remember probably maybe like the second or third music video that I helped style, and I was like, this is so boring, just because the amount of wait time. And then when you see the music video, or you go on to djpremium.com and see the work, you're like, oh, I can do that, that's really fun. And you
don't know what happens
the
behind.
work,
The
work that goes into making a shoot look pretty.
Yeah.